What's up my friends, welcome back to the channel. Last week we made a deep dive into the mojito, trying all sorts of different controversial techniques, trying to prove that if you know what you're doing, there's a way to make a great mojito, even though it's not the classic way. That being said, we're all entitled to our favorite method, mine being stirring the mint with the sugar. The sugar acts kind of as a solvent and it makes a great job at extracting the flavors. I refer to this method as kind of making an oleosaccharum with the mint and the sugar, and one of you brought up the idea that it could become a great way to pre-batch mojitos, because we all know that pre-batching cocktails with fresh herbs, especially mint, can easily turn in something really off. So I said I would have to report back, and here we are 1 week later with the result, and let me tell you, it works wonderfully. Plus it's really easy, there's no need for special techniques or special equipment, and if you take it just one step further, you'll be able to make your mojitos, your pre-batch mojitos, shelf stable. So that's literally the easiest and best way I've tried so far to pre-batch mojitos. So if you guys are ready, without further ado, let's make some mint cocktails. Let's go. Alright, so this is not the first time I'm talking about ways to pre-batch cocktails with mint. I've already covered something called the mint washing technique, which was a great way to pre-batch cocktails with mint without having them to taste like wet dog after just a couple of hours. And while I believe what we're gonna be doing today is somewhat similar, I feel it actually gives you more freedom with the end result, and it is actually way faster and simple to make. So let's dive right into it and let's make a pre-batch mojito for 5 servings. We're gonna start with a mint oleosaccharum, and all you need to make it is mint, sugar, and if you want, a little bit of lime zest. First, before washing it, we're gonna weight 10 grams of mint leaves. Then we're gonna wash and dry them with a paper towel. Next, we're gonna add the mint in a seal-tight container. Grate 2 grams of lime zest. Add that to the container, along with 75 grams of granulated sugar. You're gonna close the container, shake it for a couple of seconds, and leave that resting at room temperature for 2 hours, shaking the container a couple of times during the process. After 2 hours, you will see the sugar will be humid, but it's not gonna dissolve like in a regular oleosaccharum. So if you wanna use that mint sugar a la minute rather than using it to pre-batch a cocktail, I would recommend you transform this into a syrup. And the best way to do so is to add 75 grams of cold water, the same amount of water than we added sugar, stir until dissolved and strain the solids out, bottle it, and you're gonna have a delicious mint syrup. I would recommend using cold water because you don't want to infuse with heat the mint leaves. That would make the syrup taste like minty, and you don't want that. But today, since we want to pre-batch a mojito, that's not what we're gonna do. We're simply gonna add rum to this to dissolve the sugar, strain out the solids, and then we're gonna add the other ingredients. So for 5 mojitos, that's gonna be 300 ml of rum. We're gonna stir until the sugar starts to dissolve. That will allow us to remove the leaves without any sugar on them. And then we're gonna set that aside while we make the next step. Now would be the time to add acidity to our mojito batch, and traditionally mojitos are made with lime, so you can totally use fresh lime juice if you're planning on going through your batch the same day. But if you wanna keep it for a longer period of time, it would not be the best idea because fresh lime juice will oxidize and it's not gonna be shelf stable. If you want to make it shelf stable though, you can use super juice, or also what I'm going to do today, simply a citric and malic acid base. To make it, we're simply going to mix together 5.5 grams of citric acid, 2.5 grams of malic acid, and 150 grams of filtered water. If you have a little leftover of lime zest from the previous step, you can also add that to the mix to boost the lime flavors. Then you're gonna stir until dissolved, add the rum and sugar mint mixture to the acid solution, and if there's still a bit of sugar undissolved in your container, use a little bit of the cocktail to rinse that container, and then simply pour it back in. Then all you have to do left is to fine strain it in a bottle, and there have it, my new favorite way to pre-batch mojitos. This will stay good almost forever in the fridge if you store it in a clean bottle, and we don't add any dilution to the pre-batch cocktail because when it's gonna be the time to serve it, we're gonna top it with sparkling water, and obviously we can't pre-batch a fizzy cocktail if we store it in a regular bottle, otherwise we would lose the fizz. So now let's give it a try. We're gonna build this right away into an eyeball glass, and what I like to do, while being optional because the mint flavor is already in the cocktail, is to add a couple of mint leaves for the look. Then we're gonna add 100 ml of our pre-batch mojito. Fill the glass all the way up with ice. Top it with about 2 ounces of sparkling water. Give it a brief stir to incorporate all the ingredients together. Garnish with a mint sprig, and there you go, your pre-batched mojito. Cheers. First of all, I must say I'm a huge fan of the look of the drink. It looks like a clarified cocktail, but it's not. It tastes like a legit mojito. It is surprisingly minty, beautifully balanced, and super refreshing. And on top of that, it is shelf stable. So I love it, and I hope you're gonna love it too. So my friends, this is it for me today. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel before you go. Turn that bell if you wanna make sure not to miss the next one. And until then, thank you very much again. Have a great day, and see you very soon. Cheers.